go to Cooper Webb. Through the ropes, and Cooper Webb gets his first win.
In a sport built on high stakes, gnarly crashes, and the ruthless hunt for perfection in every lap, Cooper Webb has built a reputation for defying the odds. He's rarely the preseason favorite, but when the title's on the line somehow, he's always right there in the fight. Cooper Webb's story isn't about collecting trophies. It's about silencing doubters, outsmarting rivals, and making sure nobody forgets his name. From a small-town kid in North Carolina to a two-time Supercross world champion, his journey is one of fire, failure, and redemption. Paul Cooper. James Webb was born on November 10, 1995, in Newport, North Carolina, a quiet, coastal town where the roar of dirt bikes wasn't the soundtrack. Yet, his dad, Robert Webb, was a professional surfer and had raced motocross in the 70s. That mix of adrenaline and discipline laid the foundation for Cooper's path. At just 4 years old, Cooper entered his first motocross race at Kinley MX. It was pure chaos and pure joy, and he was hooked. By age 6, he'd already won his first amateur title on a Yamaha PW50. That early fire wasn't a phase, it was just the beginning. Cooper didn't have the flashiest riding style, but he had an edge. He rode like every lap was personal. By the time he was a teenager, he had racked up 36 national amateur titles. That included 6 wins at Loretta Lynn's, the proving ground for future legends. If you know motocross, you know Loretta's. It's where boys become names to remember. Webb was raw, scrappy, and fearless, and people loved him for it. He wasn't afraid to bang bars, talk a little smack, or throw elbows in tight corners. He didn't ride for style points. He rode to win. In 2013, Cooper Webb made the leap from amateur phenom to full-time pro, signing with Star Racing Yamaha to compete in the Lucas Oil Pro Motocross Championship. He was just 17 years old, young, aggressive, and already under the spotlight. The transition wasn't perfect, but anyone watching could see the flashes of something special. Webb didn't ride like a rookie. He attacked the track, making bold passes and fighting deep into motos. There were growing pains, blown corners, misjudged lines, but his determination was obvious. He wasn't just trying to keep up, he was trying to win. That first pro year was about planting seeds, and in June of 2014, those seeds started to bloom. At Muddy Creek Raceway in Tennessee, practically a hometown crowd, Webb pulled off his first pro victory in the 250 class. It was gritty, earned, and symbolic. That race showed what Cooper Webb could be. He ended 2014 with another honor, Monster Energy Supercross Rookie of the Year. And with that, the motocross world officially took notice. He wasn't the future anymore. He was the now. By the time 2015 rolled around, Webb wasn't just a kid with potential. He was a legitimate title contender. That season, he charged through the West Coast Supercross rounds with confidence and consistency, locking in his first 250 Supercross West title. He raced with purpose, not just to win, but to crush spirits. He had this knack for hunting down the lead, studying the guy in front, and then striking with precision. And when he wasn't in front, he was making someone's life miserable trying to get there. In 2016, he backed it up with another title, this time in the AMA 250 Motocross Championship. 2 different disciplines, 2 years, 2 championships. He could win on soft dirt, hard pack, rutted out tracks, or slick corners. It didn't matter. That same year, Webb was chosen to lead Team USA at the Motocross des Nations. It's the kind of call-up that doesn't come easy, and he didn't take it lightly. The Americans finished second to a stacked French team, but Webb's leadership was a statement in itself. He wasn't just fast, he was someone the team could count on. Meanwhile, rivalries started to bubble up. He had run-ins with Malcolm Stewart, traded barbs with Zach Osborne. But instead of ducking the drama, Webb leaned into it. He thrived in that tension. It gave him an edge, and that edge would define his jump to the big leagues. By the end of 2016, Cooper had nothing left to prove in the 250 class. It was time. In 2017, he moved up to the Premier 450 division and signed with Factory Yamaha, a massive opportunity and a serious test. He also switched to the number 2 plate, a number worn by legends like Jeremy McGrath and Ryan Villapoto. For Webb, it wasn't just a number. It was a challenge to himself, a reminder that he wanted to be in that conversation someday. But the jump didn't go as planned. Yamaha's 450 program was struggling. The bike didn't suit him, setup was off, and results were inconsistent. Webb battled injuries and frustration, spending more time fighting the machine than the competition. For a guy who had spent years at the front, these were tough pills to swallow. But they were also turning points. He was learning how to lose, and more importantly, how to come back. By late 2018, Cooper Webb's time at factory Yamaha had run its course. The results weren't coming. The chemistry wasn't there. A change was overdue, and it came in the form of a bold move to Red Bull KTM under the guidance of Roger DeCoster and training with Alden Baker. It was a gamble. Webb hadn't won a single 450 main event yet, and the KTM tent was packed with proven talent. But that's the thing about Webb. The lower the expectations, the more dangerous he gets. He started the 2019 season under the radar. At Anaheim 1, he finished 5th. Solid, but nothing headline-worthy. Then, 2 rounds later at Anaheim 2, something clicked. In the Triple Crown format, Webb grabbed his first 450 main event win, holding off Ken Roczen in a gritty, late-race showdown. It wasn't flashy, it was calculated, aggressive, classic Cooper. And it sent a message to the entire paddock: he was back. From there, he went on a tear. Wins at Houston, Minneapolis, Arlington, Atlanta, and more. Each one added fuel to a championship run no one saw coming. Webb didn't just win races, he broke riders mentally. He'd stalk the leader, wait for the mistake, and strike without mercy. His confidence built round by round. And right at the center of it all, Ken Roczen. Their rivalry heated up fast. Webb had a way of getting in Roczen's head, pushing him to the edge. One moment in Arlington became iconic. After making a pass for the lead, Webb looked back and blew Roczen a kiss, a taunt, a mental dagger. It wasn't just about speed. Webb was winning the psychological game too. As the 2019 season barreled toward the finale in Las Vegas, Webb had the points lead locked in. He didn't need to win the final round. He just needed to stay consistent. And that's exactly what he did. He rode smart, calm, efficient. And when he crossed the finish line in 3rd, it was enough to seal the deal. Cooper Webb, 2019 Monster Energy Supercross 450 champion. The underdog had become the alpha. It was one of the most unexpected title runs in recent memory. No one had picked him. No one had him on their radar. But he'd fought his way through the field, and through years of setbacks, to stand on top. And he wasn't done. In 2020, Webb returned as the defending champ. The season was solid, but the dominance of Eli Tomac edged him out in the points. Webb still finished 2nd overall, proving 2019 was no fluke. Then came 2021. Webb was sharper, hungrier, and fully locked in with the KTM program. He went on another heater, winning 8 main events and once again edging out Roczen in a tight title fight. Webb's ability to deliver in clutch moments defined that year. He won the final round at Salt Lake City and clinched his second 450 Supercross title. 2 titles in 3 years. No longer an underdog. Webb was now part of Supercross royalty. But in 2022, the sport reminded everyone how brutal it can be. In round 8 at AT&T Stadium in Arlington, during the second main event of the Triple Crown, Webb mistimed a rhythm section and came up short. The impact was immediate, slammed into the face of the next jump, and laid motionless on the track. For a terrifying moment, the stadium held its breath. Riders barely avoided hitting him. Webb was eventually able to walk off under his own power, but the damage was done. No broken bones, but the crash left him with severe bruising and concussion-like symptoms. He sat out the final main event that night and missed the next round. The crash marked a turning point, not just physically, but mentally. He later admitted the aftermath of Arlington lingered with him all season. He was shaken, and for a rider who thrives on edge and confidence, that matters. The 2022 season never recovered. Webb finished a distant 7th in points, and while the results weren't there, the grit was. He didn't make excuses, he just kept grinding. After a tough 2022, a lot of people had written Cooper Webb off. But that's when he's most dangerous. In 2023, he came into the season with a quiet fire. No hype, no talk, just business. Back with Alden Baker, locked into his training, and mentally refreshed. Webb was back in the mix, right out of the gate. He quickly reminded the field who he was. He clawed his way into the championship battle, going head-to-head with rising stars like Sexton and Jett Lawrence. Round after round, Webb was right there, consistent, fast, and ruthless when it counted. Then came round 15 in Nashville, and everything changed. During the heat race, Webb got off to a clean start and was battling Eli Tomac for the lead. But in a fast left-hand corner, disaster struck. Webb lost traction and went down hard. Before he could react, Adam, who was right behind him, clipped Webb directly on the back and head. The stadium went silent. Webb stayed down. Medical staff rushed in. Eventually, he was able to get to his feet, but it was clear something was wrong. He had balance issues and looked disoriented. He was transported to the hospital where doctors diagnosed a concussion. And just like that, his championship hopes were over. He wouldn't return for the rest of the series. What had been shaping up as a third title run ended in a flash. But even so, Webb's effort earned him a third-place finish overall in the 2023 Monster Energy Supercross Championship. For most riders, that season would have been labeled a success. For Webb, it was unfinished business. After that season, Webb and Red Bull KTM parted ways. 4 years, 2 championships, countless battles. It was the end of an era. But instead of walking away, Webb pulled a move few expected. He returned to Star Racing Yamaha for 2024, the very team that gave him his pro debut. Only now, he was a different rider. More mature, more calculated. A veteran with scars, experience, and something to prove all over again. From day one of the new season, he showed flashes of the old Cooper. Fighting up front, getting physical in corners, and keeping the younger guys honest. He was still aggressive, still scrappy, but there was a new layer of discipline in how he approached each round. He wasn't the fastest every weekend, and the new generation, Jett Lawrence in particular, was setting a brutal pace. But Webb hung in. He picked his battles. He found the podium. He stayed in the conversation. It was a full circle moment. Same team, same number, but a completely evolved rider. The 2024 season was a different kind of test. Webb wasn't the young disruptor anymore, or the reigning champ. He was the veteran in a sport that rarely gives anyone a second to breathe, let alone a second chance. The new wave was loud and fast. Jett Lawrence was taking over headlines. Sexton looked more dialed than ever. Eli Tomac was still in the mix. But Cooper, he wasn't going anywhere. Not quietly, and definitely not without making it clear he could still win. Riding for Monster Energy Yamaha Star Racing, Webb came out swinging. He won 4 main events during the 2024 Supercross season: Anaheim 2, Detroit, Seattle, and Foxborough, and stayed in the title fight all the way to the final round. Even while battling a torn thumb ligament in the back half of the season, he kept grinding out podiums and pushing the leaders. Finishing runner-up in a stacked field was a reminder that Webb doesn't need to be at 100% to be a serious threat. He just needs to be in the race. That thumb injury came at Birmingham, round 9. He aggravated it weeks later in Philadelphia. Despite the pain, Webb gutted out the final rounds of Supercross before finally undergoing surgery 2 days after the Salt Lake City finale. The recovery kept him off and forced him to miss the early rounds of the pro motocross season. His return came at Unadilla, but another crash in Moto2 resulted in a sprain to the same thumb. It wasn't as severe, but it was enough to keep him out of the final 2 outdoor rounds, so he could regroup ahead of the Super Motocross playoffs. And now, in the 2025 season, he's not just back, he's winning. As of round 16 in Denver, Webb has already taken 5 wins and holds a 9-point lead over Sexton. No hype, no drama, just Webb doing what he always does, grinding it out and showing up when it counts. He might not carry the spotlight like he used to, but Cooper Webb's still a problem for anyone chasing a title. Beyond the gate drops and grind, Cooper Webb has built something even more important: a life off the track. He married Mariah Williams in October 2022, a fitness entrepreneur and longtime supporter who's often by his side on race day. Their relationship is strong, grounded in years of shared struggle and growth. They welcomed their first child, a daughter named Indy, in August 2022. In May 2024, their family grew again with the birth of their second daughter, Presley Cove Webb. Webb has talked openly about how fatherhood shifted his perspective. Wins feel sweeter. Losses sting a little less. The stakes are still high, but there's something bigger now waiting for him at home. It hasn't made him soft, just more balanced. more locked in when it counts. When the gate drops, he's still that same fiery racer. But now, he's also a father, a husband, and a man who's found meaning beyond motocross. Cooper Webb's story isn't just about stats or trophies. It's about grit, the kind you can't teach, the kind that shows up when you're bruised, counted out, and expected to fold. He's rarely the favorite, but when the title's on the line, he's always in the fight. Through the injuries, the setbacks, and the pressure, Webb has built a career that's as much about mental toughness as it is about raw speed. From small-town North Carolina to the top of the Supercross world, he's earned everything the hard way. And even now, over a decade into his pro career, he's still chasing more. Because for Cooper Webb, it was never just about being fast, it was about being relentless. Want more stories of motocross athletes who never back down? Check out our deep dive on Cooper's fiercest rivals and how their battles shape the sport. And if you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a new episode. What's your favorite Cooper Webb moment? Drop it in the comments and let us know who you want us to cover next. Thanks for watching and stay wicked.